But in summary of where we're actually at and what we've been through today, at the end of the day, just like when you fly, what we've tried to do is create an airplane. Everyone wants to get somewhere. Some people can afford to be in economy, some people can afford to be in business class, and some people can afford to be in first class. We've got different offerings for different people based on their level of sophistication, based on the level of their intent and what they want to achieve. We've got everything from bits of land in different opportunities, which Brendan's already alluded to, in beautiful estates. And in terms of the affordability, you know, I know we spoke about land, and I agree with Dolph. I thought I'd never ever invest in land until I was buying stuff at 25% below the cost of literally putting the same infrastructure back in the ground. So imagine an estate here in Midrand somewhere, and all the houses are 70, 80% built, and the last tract of land is there with all the services, and I can pick the land lots up very, very cheap, basically. So it just gives you an example of the type of things and the type of areas. RJ's spoken a lot about his houses. On average, about $120,000, about an 8% net yield on average, net being after costs. Financing, 6%, loan to value as high as 80%, fixed for 15 years. They're about 40% below replacement cost. There's 3 years leases, and I do reiterate that, over 80% of our clients that currently invest there, reinvest there. Almost without fail when people come on the buyer's trip, which I think is testament to you and what you're doing in terms of what we're talking about. And Oak Hill, just as an example, it's there. We're going through the final due diligence. It's a $14.5 million project, 7 buildings, 8.1% cap. I didn't get a chance today to explain the whole cap thing, but I mean, we basically, well, I know Dolph did, but in this specific building, the market-related cap is between 7 and 7.5. And so we're getting that building, and it's because it's 8 unsophisticated doctors selling the building. It was off market. We're getting it at somewhere between 8 to 15% below current market value, which is obviously very attractive. The financing's in place, the IRR's there, the blended lease, and 38% is with blue chip tenants. So really, the one thing I would say is that, it's one thing to come and listen to the guys. It's one thing to sit on the, and ask questions when they're on stage. But can you imagine immersing yourself for 1 week with us on a buyer's trip? People always kind of rolled their eyes, and the first one I went on was with Dolph actually in 2012. And the bottom line is, if you're there for an entire week, there's not a question you can't think of that can't be answered. You get the right information, you meet all the partners. I mean, for 2 years, I've been trying to get everyone to come over to America to meet RJ. Finally, I got RJ to come over to South Africa. But I mean, you get to meet his whole team, the management team, the inspection agents, and everyone in between. You learn and engage. I find it fascinating with South Africans. I'm too important to travel with other people. I wouldn't want to go with other people. That's the biggest mistake you can actually make. The greatest value I've got out of these trips is actually the questions other people ask. And no matter how sophisticated you are or think you are, trust me, we've had people on this trip that are at a really, really top level. And the beauty is you get 2 people at the top level, and they ask questions like Alan and Henny were at the medical thing, and Dolph, and the 3 of them were all going. And the likes of Brendan and I were just like, hey, you guys have got this covered. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the questions. So, that's the type of thing. You get to take action. There's nothing more frustrating than going all the way over there, spending lots of money away from, and then you can't find stuff. What we do is we pre-approve people. We send it through to RJ. He knows what's happening. And that's just an example. We're going up to North Dakota. We went up to North Dakota now in March. We're going up again in July. And the next trip, just as my interest for those who are interested, is at the end of July. There are forms at the back if you speak to Yaku. We only take 10 people. We made a mistake, and I'm sure Pedro would agree with this, that it's not that much fun, and Andrew actually for that matter. They were the mistake actually, having 2 of them on the bus together. But no, but after 10 people, it's not fun. You actually want to have a small group of people. So we keep it down to 10, and it's by invite only, so you need to almost basically apply. And one of the application forms is that if, when we go and have a drink afterwards, you don't at least share the bill, then you can't come. And lastly, we have lots of fun. I'm sure you can see with a couple of these cheeky faces up on stage. Me in particular, I can't work hard and not play hard as well. So it is a great experience. I'd highly recommend it. If you don't think so, go on YouTube and put in USA Buyers Trip, or go to the website usabuyerstrip.co.za, and you'll see all the testimonials. I don't believe there's any better way to get experience and knowledge than to come on one of those trips and to immerse yourself and spend all the time with everyone else. I want to finish with 2 last things. The first one is the procrastination price. We showed people in April last year what the impact was of not making a decision. And really people sit and they give themselves a lot of excuses. Dolph spoke about it. But people don't actually take into account what it cost them for not making decisions. And that's the scary thing. That's the really scary thing when you work it out. And we've proved it to people. We've shown people. And the frustrating thing for me is that we've had people, when it was 8.88 to the dollar, they were like, oh, but I think the rand might get back to 8 rand to the dollar. And a year later, it's at 10.40. RJ's house has been performing at 8% net, plus they've had about 16% capital growth. It's in terms of where it is. And then the last thing is, for me, what I statistically proved, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, we've got an entire webinar on it, but I like to work out what my 5 options are. And the bottom line is, if I take the exact amount of money, call it R1 million, and I leave it in a South African bank, in 30 years, I'm not interested in rands. All I'm interested in is US dollar, first world income, first world currency. But in 30 years, I'll have about 200,000 US dollars. You can't really see these numbers. The red line is if I put my money into a good South African property. On average, a good South African property is about an 8% net yield with about 12% capital growth. That's the 30-year average, residential or commercial. And I'd have about $700,000. The green line is if I say, no, well, I'm going to listen to James with a 30% probability the rand might get better, and so I'll wait, and the moment it gets better, the exact point at which it's at the lowest, I buy. But I wait a year. And I will have so that's an American property based on long-term averages, and I got about $2 million. If I buy now and the rand drops to 9 rand is actually what I worked it out at, I think. But yet I still benefit straight away from the 8% net yield and the compound effect that has. I'll have another 10% net asset value at 2.2. And if I just leverage an American property, I'll have over $4 million worth of net asset value. And what does that mean to you? Well, the bottom line is, between a good South African house and a good American house, it's 439%. And in simple terms, if you remember, we started the day and I said to you, your wealth statistically has declined by 29.5% year on year for the last 30 years. The simple way to offset that is 5 first world assets earning a first world income. 5. That's all it takes. 5 assets. Not 5, not 50, not 500, just 5. And that's what I promised you I'd share with you at the end of the day as to how to do it and what to do. So in terms of what next, you all had the partnering questionnaire. I would really implore you to fill it in, to sit with one of our guys, one of our asset managers, to explain what it is that you're looking to do. We're not estate agents. We've got nothing to sell you. What we need to do is understand what it is you're looking to achieve, and then we can help point you in the right direction in terms of solutions. In terms of your options, you really have got 2 options. You've got direct property, and I truly believe there's a lot of value in direct property. I've got direct property. And then you've also got the ability to partner with others. Certainly in the short term, I see no reason why you shouldn't do both. Benefit from the pros of one and the pros of the other. I've mentioned coming on the buyer's trip. I think that is really the ultimate in terms of learning and experiencing. And then lastly, in terms of the crowdfunding, it's pretty simple. Just register. Literally go online, put your name in, tell people what you're looking for. There's a beautiful thing there where you can change the risk analysis that you want and everything else. Everything that you said, time of your life, or what did you say, lifestyle or season of your life is what you said. But ultimately, if you're not interested in industrial things in North Dakota, won't even pop up on your radar. And with time, as we go more and more global, you'll only have the things that are put in front of you. I wanted to finish off with a story, and then I want to just give out some awards. But the bottom line is I started off today with my uncle. And if you remember, what was the one thing that my uncle did that changed his life and allowed him to have the freedom of whatever he wanted to do?
He had foresight.
He had foresight. He made a decision. What else did he do?
Went to Australia.
He went to Australia. You obviously like rules, dude. Split his investment. The bottom line is he made a decision, he took action, and most importantly, he didn't panic. He had the foresight to do something about it. The end to that story is very, very interesting. And not only did he have the freedom to do whatever he wanted, but Zimbabwe, where half our family is, those people that didn't plan, unfortunately the currency fell out of bed completely. Some of them, one of my aunts literally cannot afford anything more than dog biscuits. And he literally supports her and about 5 other people permanently, which for me is phenomenal. On top of that, my father got really, really ill. And for 10 years, my uncle supported our whole family. When I started this business, 10 years ago, he was the first guy to put 20,000 pounds in and give me the start to get going. And lastly, when I got married, he's very clever actually, because if my wife had known this up front, we would have had a more extravagant wedding. But we had the entire wedding, which we paid for ourselves. My dad wasn't here. And at the end, he walked up and he said, "How much did that cost?" It was 140,000 rand. He said, "It'll be in your bank account by Monday." And for me, how cool is that? You know, this is not all about rands and cents or dollars and things. It's like, who can you be and what can you do? You know, and all that we've tried to share with you today and all our partners and everything else is to have the freedom to do whatever you want. And how cool it'd be, no matter who you are, no matter how philanthropic you want to be, but for me, just to have the ability to do whatever you want. And it starts with just one thing. It's making a decision and then ultimately following through on that decision. So hopefully today, I applaud all of you for staying all the way till 6 o'clock or whatever it is. I know it's late. I know it's been a hugely long day. I want to just give a round of applause for all the speakers and the guys. You know, it's... You know, not one person sitting around this on the stage here is actually from Johannesburg or Pretoria. So they've all traveled a hell of a long way. Or you could say they've made it in life and chose not to live here. No jokes. But yeah.
Scott, on behalf of everybody on the panel, I'd like to interrupt you as you have interrupted us for the last 4 days. And two things. One, there's a lot of people in here that I've never got to meet that have bought houses from us. And I meant to say this earlier. I'd love to shake your hand and talk to you. I'll be out in the back room in just a little bit. The other thing is this guy's an absolute hurricane. Okay, but if it wasn't for him, none of us would be here. None of you guys would be here either. And it's his vision, it's his drive, it's his desire to help people because he really believes Zig Ziglar with that one comment, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. Can we give Scott a terrific hand of applause? And his team.
And the team, guys. Thank you. Yeah, I don't deserve that. The team really makes and puts this thing together. So thank you, RJ, and everyone else. Guys, the reason that these people are up here is that I don't know if you can remember the very first time you bought a property. As I said to you, mine was when I was 22 years old. And every single time you invest in a new market, do you remember how scared you were the first time you invested? Well, you'll feel that same feeling. I don't care how much experience you've got. Every time you invest in a new country, every time you invest in a new state, you feel that same feeling. And so the guys that have bought houses actually have lovely trophies, which actually we want to celebrate the success that they've taken that journey towards freedom, creating first world assets and first world income. And the guys that got the pendants, they invested in the land and have also made progress towards making that leap over. So a round of applause to all 8 of you. It's phenomenal. And well done. And on that note, I would like to finish off and say thank you to all of you. Without you guys here, and particularly in Joburg and Pretoria, the energy here is wonderful. I'm sure, particularly RJ and the guys that don't know from the other parts of the world or other parts of South Africa. You're all here. You're late. You're pumped. You like to get things done, which is fantastic for us. And so all that I would say is well done to all of you. Hopefully today you've learned just one thing, and I think I learned this from Dolph or RJ. But if you take just one thing away from today, then it was worth your time. So well done to all of you. We want to beg you, drive safe tonight. And please, most importantly, go out there with a smile on your face as a proud South African and share what you learned today with others if you think it'll be of value. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. Guys, just quickly, can I just get a